bum 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 ba-da-dum ba-da-dum dum dum ba-dum. Mr. Tex bought a Mauser.
Yes, you did. Very nice. And you got the bayonet on it. Hello.
Oh, we're on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You're gonna do your.
No, sorry. That song's just stuck in my head.
It's a good song.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much, Afterburner, for making it. Whoever Afterburner might be, the mysterious figure known as Afterburner.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
So, this is Tex the Black Pants Legion here, and
I'm welcome everybody to the Courtesy Flush. Well, it's Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. As you can see behind me, there is the Christmas light that goes into the outer reaches of our galaxy.
Yeah, move your head so they can get a good look at
that.
I'm
in the way.
Yeah,
there it is.
It looks like it's beaming out of your head. And
okay,
I was like, wow.
Well, yeah, look, so there's the big giant beam of light. This was listed as Christmas on the video website we used to make like all the skits. So this is apparently Christmas. And I was like, okay, guess that's what this...
I mean, I thought that was like, maybe, I don't know, there's a religion out there that's like, Christmas tree is arcing plasma, or,
And this is also the BPL podcast as well. If you guys are listening on the podcast, like, what the fuck am I listening to? We're recording this live, and so this is going to be interesting.
In front of a live but very distant studio audience.
We can just hear. I got audience noises for you here. Here we go.
Like lighting cigarettes and farting.
Here we go. Oh no, the music died. Oh well.
Nice.
Yeah, well there we go. First thing first, I have to break the stream somehow.
It's a podcast and a stream at the same time. Oh,
there we go. All right. No, and don't worry. I've got an actual Christmas background, but this was.
Let's go ahead and.
Let's switch over to it.
Yeah, let's go ahead because I don't know what Christmas shit is. This is like Life Day crap.
Now this is what I like to call the fire hazard Christmas because holy shit, look at those shelves.
Yeah. Well,
you guys can't see it on the podcast, but there is a beautiful like living room with Christmas lights and a Christmas tree all lit up to the nines.
No.
Did I fix the audio?
Did you? Holy shit.
I fixed
Everybody, Mike fixed the audio.
Holy shit. Anyway, so somehow I didn't do anything. Yeah, so the living room is just covered in lights on the shelf, and that looks very fire hazardy.
It's like
I hope they're LED. Let's just put it that way.
It's like the family vacation.
Oh, never mind.
All right, great. So
parallaxal. That's perfect. That's actually very apropos. Thank you.
So anyone who listens on the podcast is gonna wonder, why does this toilet noise keep coming? I don't have a bad case of the turbo shits today.
Yeah.
For people listening
and I'll
to this
turn it down so people aren't like blown away.
Yeah. So it basically, we're on the Courtesy Flush, which is a wonderful stream.
Sure.
And it's okay. It is a stream.
There is a stream.
Right. And so what we're doing at this point in time is we are recording a podcast live in front of our studio audience. And we are going to talk about some fun things, and we're just doing this as a fun experiment to just trying to match things up. This is going to be the Christmas podcast, so that's going to be nice. So, our subject this evening. Hold on, let me sip a bit of my Christmas tea, which came courtesy of a Legionnaire.
Thank you very, very much.
And cheers, everyone. Cheers, everyone. Get your comfy thing. If you want to find the BPL podcast, go on to anchor.fm and look for the BPL podcast. But we're literally everywhere. Google,
Apple, they upload,
wherever.
the service uploads it everywhere.
Correct.
So if you're looking for the BPL podcast, you've actually... I would say you have become the number one BPL podcast.
It looks like we are the number one BPL podcast
for now, but it's a tough fight.
We've been fighting the Berkeley Public Library. So take that, you fucks. And
oh, come on.
No, they always support your public library.
One day we will be doing a podcast at the Berkeley Public Library, and they're going to be like, are you guys that other BPL podcast? And we're like, yeah, that's right, Dance Off. And then we have this giant dance off. We have to be very quiet so there's no music, and it's very awkward.
Right. Yeah.
Just feet tapping the ground.
No, and they're like, shh.
Heavy breathing.
Yeah, well, I'm a librarian, so I can get us in there.
Yeah. What was the librarian stereotype?
Marion the librarian.
What's that stereotype?
Cardigan sweater, severe-looking face, unmarried,
yes,
comfortable shoes, horn-rimmed glasses on a chain, and shushing. Lots and lots of shushing.
Shh. Yes.
Yeah, when I had to intern at a library to get my master's degree, I just spent the whole time at the desk, the reference desk, where people will come up and like, do you have a book on anteaters? And I'm like, why?
You asked why to that?
Yeah,
what's wrong with you?
You're a grown-ass man. When are you ever going to see one?
Hold on. Somebody wants knowledge, and as a person who could give them that knowledge, you go, why?
Yeah.
But you still did it anyway, right?
No, well...
You still went and got him the book, but you asked why while you were doing it.
Yeah, well, because I need to know, are you helping your kid with a book report, i.e. cheating, or
what if he just doesn't know anything about anteaters?
Yeah,
he's just genuinely curious.
Is this a midlife crisis moment? Did he see something on...
He's like, I'm going to become a zoologist. Give me the first animal I can think of. Anteaters, A.
Actually, that would be aardvark, but, that's...
No, it would be A-N.
A-A. Aardvark.
Oh, is it double A's?
Correct.
That's dumb.
I'm a librarian.
I also, if you ever wonder why a lot of things are misspelled in Text Talk's Battletech, I mean, Tex, he does check it, so part of that is his fault.
I would say I'll take 40% of that.
Yeah, he does watch it, but then also he's listening, and we're also talking over it sometimes because we're both weird. But yeah. So what are we going to be talking about?
Well, first of all, the librarian thing, because that was funny. When I used to work at a library, I would work the reference desk because I knew pretty much everything, and I was an archivist, not just a public librarian. I am a archivist. I am a research archivist by training. So I'm really good at finding obscure weird shit and doing data dives, and metadata, cataloging, all that stuff is something I know very well.
It shows.
And thank you. But one of the things, and I also have a history background, so I'm very good with those sorts of archives. And I would make really bad library jokes and then laugh really hard, like fake laugh. So people would be like, hey, did you hear this joke? And da-da-da. And I'm like, how many librarians does it take to screw in a light bulb?
And they go, what?
645.5.
Yeah, I remember this one.
Yeah.
You told me this one.
Yeah.
I chuckled at it the first time.
Oh, yeah. And it's a funny once. It's not a funny always.
Yes.
But so what I would do is then I would laugh way too hard, but I wouldn't do a smile when I laughed. I would on purpose.
You just look at the camera like.
Yeah, no smile, just straight look, straight eyes, and go. And then go back to your desk.
Yeah.
But no, one of the things that was
greetings from Africa.
Cool. But no, one of the things we used to do that was really fun was I would just pretend doing voices, so people would come up and I'd like help them out as Ronald Reagan.
Oh no!
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that.
You're like, the Fisher Price is located underneath the Taco Bell.
No, you do well, I could sure help you find that book, but first we're gonna talk about the price of tacos in Istanbul. and people would be like, wait, what? Because I realized in that job a lot of people don't fucking listen. They just wait to talk. They don't listen at all.
Vincent said no, that was horrifying. Mike, never do that again.
Nice.
Wow.
All right.
I can imagine him saying in his like really like smooth, sexy voice.
Oh yeah, dude, he's got it. I just sound like cigarettes, but he's got that bass tremble. He's got it down. He
could read the manual on how to apply paint to a wall in like really slow fashion.
Hold on, that's a sexy manual. so
he's like, first you take the latex.
All right. So what I wanted to talk about on this podcast is I noticed this. There was this game that was supposed to come out. And
what happened?
There was a game that was supposed to come out, and there was a hype train, for this game.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And people started getting on this hype train. Everyone was talking about all the crazy shit. And
let me stop you right there. No Man's Sky. I agree. That was a horrible, hot fucking mess when that came out.
No, I'm not talking about No Man's Sky.
It turned around though. They did a really good job on it. I really like No Man's Sky.
I know why you brought up No Man's Sky, because they actually did the big boy thing, and they delivered on their promises and then some. And they're continuing as a small team to build a game with love. So the thing is, you end up with this game that has a hype train, and the hype train takes off. And the problem is in this public sphere we're all in, you end up with all of these people who hop on that hype train because it serves them. And thank you, Mike passed me the charcuterie board.
Yeah, I noticed that it was like next to me.
Well, yeah, because
hook yourself up with some rations over there. It's gonna be a while before another train comes by.
Yeah, so people hop on this hype train because they're self-serving. These people are extremely self-serving. They're streamers or YouTube people or commentators. So they get on this fucking hype train, and they drive this hype to an dangerous level where people start thinking this game will cure cancer. It will be the greatest game ever. They start doing what I used to see when Halo sequels started coming out, before they started getting kind of crap and bad, where people are, oh man, Halo's coming out, and all these people are calling in sick. Oh man, Halo's coming out. People are taking vacation. People were taking vacation for this game. People were disappearing for this game. People
I remember that with Grand Theft Auto 5 when
yeah.
And Red Dead Redemption 2.
Same crazy hype.
Yeah.
So Cyberpunk comes out, and there's people right now. I bet if you go over and look on the left-hand side of your Twitch, whatever, you will see motherfuckers playing Cyberpunk 2077 right now, trying to squeeze something out of it, whether trying to show its jankiness or trying to be like, no, this game's great, and, capitalize on it. But for average Joes like me, who actually played quite a bit of Cyberpunk Tabletop, I'm looking at this game as a triumph of why you wait and polish, because the game is mostly there, and that's what frustrates me the most. The game is mostly there. The baseboards are there, but they didn't apply paint, they didn't polish a goddamn thing, and none of the faucets work. It's a fucked up house, and they just opened it and said it's done, and it needs more time. It obviously needs more time. And they kept delaying, which was smart, but the delay wasn't long. The delay was like, we're moving it back.
They moved it back like almost 10 months or so, right? Or initially.
Yeah. So I'm level 50 in game. I am
like level 50 or street cred 50, because they have to have two separate levels for some reason.
No, I'm level 50. I am street cred 50. I have not even gotten halfway through the storyline, and I can't advance anymore.
And you broke the game already.
I broke the game.
Tell us how you did that, because you already told me. This is a good story.
And
Cyberpunk 2077, the USS Gerald Ford of games. Oof.
Wow. But no, the basic issue is that I got into the game and I found out the RPG system has very little, if anything, to do with Cyberpunk 2020. The gun combat and gunplay reminds me more of Borderlands than anything else.
What was that game? The Division. That's the one.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
It reminds me of the Division.
A little bit of that. So, you got like a guy with a do-rag and you shoot him in the face with a 12 gauge. And
he's like, oh, yeah, no, he has like super armor face. I'm like, motherfucker, what the fuck? What is the point of guns?
Yeah. And so I found out that by using the, as I call them, Harambe hands.
Oh, yes. I too am the follower of the Harambe hands.
Right. If you use the melee weapons, they're 1,000 times more dangerous.
And they're more fun. Believe it or not, the gunplay in this game could be fun, but I don't particularly like it myself. I actually really enjoy the melee combat.
Yeah.
There's something really exciting about sprinting in and punching the shit out of people when they're trying to unload on you with light machine guns.
Well, and what bothers me, I
feel like a superhero.
Well, what really...
Return to monkey.
Yeah, pretty much. But what really bothers me about the goddamn game is I can't play it anymore because I can't equip any item I have. I can't pull weapons even when attacked, and I can't get into vehicles anymore.
Oh.
Because I crafted too many items.
That's right. He found a bug where if you craft too many items, you can't do anything else in the game. And you can't get rid of the items, can you?
I can't interact with anything. There's nothing I could do. I even went back 3 hours in the game, reverted saves, no dice. Broken.
I have a very similar experience. I was trying to get through the game, through the main story, as I reached Street Cred 50, but I'm not like level 50. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just, I'll go ahead and try to progress the story, just see what happens next. I go in, and it's supposed to be like I'm supposed to meet this guy at the diner, right? And he's just like sitting there, and I'm like walking into the thing, and I'm like, do I hit F? Am I doing whatever? And I keep walking around, and I'm like, I can't interact with them. I can't do anything. I'm just watching him. And then I'm like, I'm going to meet you at the thing, but I'm standing right there, and he won't sit down at the desk. He just won't do anything. So I'm just sitting there.
It's just like dealing with someone who's choosing to like shun you.
Yeah. Well, yes, very much so. And so I'm like, okay, let me go to another mission. That one disappeared completely.
Yeah.
I started looking this up. I'm like, okay, I know there's a mission here. So I went online to check. Of course, the thing says there's a mission you're supposed to start here. I'm like, okay. I go to another mission where we're supposed to start. I see where there are burn marks on the ground where there's supposed to be mission things.
They were destroyed and smitten from the earth.
There's nothing there. And so I spent upwards of about, I'd say like 20-something hours on this one game. And I can't for the life of me tell you how far back I'd have to go to find the working save, because I don't know. I had been doing side missions up to that point, and now the game is just locked. I can't do any missions.
Well, and here's the thing is that
I'm like, okay, well, I guess that was fun.
Like, just talking about bugs, there was a guy, this was 2 days ago, before things started to go bad, because I'm reading Inquisitor Gunnar. I reloaded all the saves all the way back to the beginning. Does not work. Game broken.
Yeah.
So I was thorough in my investigation on it.
So,
But no, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's one glitch. That we keep finding them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we walk into each other.
We're pretty imaginative people that have played a lot of jank-ass games.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So we have done every trick in the book to make sure that we're not like, not just trying to revert back. I'm just at this point where I'm like, I've went back several missions, and I still can't interact with anything. And I'm at the point where I'm like, do I have to go all the way back to I'm not going to give away a spoiler. It's very early in the game. But I have to go back to where I'm like street cred level 10 at this point? I'm like, no. I spent all this time. I did all of these missions up to this point.
I posted one of my bugs on Twitter. This guy got into a car, right? And then there was a glitch. And then he was outside of the car in this seated in the car position. Mm-hmm. And in that position, floating in midair, he took off at 60 miles an hour. I watched him go down the road, and he clipped through another car. The car exploded, and he died, and I failed the mission. And I was like, what dimension is this?
Now, people are saying that you have to keep your save file under 8 megabytes.
Oh, well.
PlayStation 2?
I'm glad I have a meter for that in the game. What are we playing Johnny Mnemonic for real? I can only take so much of a hit. My brain has finite capacity.
Yeah. No. I get that. I know that I know that there's a lot of things that you got to kind of put up with when it comes to games that are going to be jank, but I wasn't expecting my game to just stop working. I figured they would have tested it all the way.
I love goofy bugs. Like Red Dead Redemption had so many goofy bugs. Like Fallout. All these games have goofy, janky bugs, and it's fun to play with them. For example, Fallout 3 was Obsidian with guns. It was just basically a reskin. And when they introduced explosives that threw people around, the game really didn't have the ability to control physics like that.
No.
So what was fucking hilarious is I remember, like, in Fallout 3, you put like 80, 90 landmines in a giant fucking pile and you touch them off. And if someone touches into that, it would go down to 1 frame a second, and then you couldn't find the person because it had blown them into another dimension, which is hilarious because it just ragdoll slingshots them with all that explosive force. But in this game, I'm seeing bugs that I saw in games that were half-ass made 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it just shows a remarkable lack of polish. Like, I was driving my car around, and it just submarined through the pavement.
I told Tex this, but I was driving, I think it was like down near the outside parts of the city, and there was like these alleyways and all this stuff, and I was like, just driving down the street, and I had to go through, and there's this guy just sitting in the street, like in the sitting position, and he was just sitting there. It looked like he was in an invisible fucking jet or something. And I was like, all right, I'll go around him. Well, apparently I hit his invisible car, and he just started screaming like, ah, 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 and he bicycle kicked down an alleyway out of nowhere. Like, he was just like, ah, ah, and I'm like, what the fuck? I wish I was recording that. It was the fucking weirdest thing.
I was there. Hey, Goat's watching. Awesome.
Hey.
By the way, everyone go check out Goat's SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Because the latest stuff from Battletech's there, and Goat's always cool. So, no, the thing that made me laugh my ass off, like I was crying laughing, was I was there with Goat, and I punched this guy. And the guy acted like a spring you'd hit with a hammer. And he just goes flying into the ether, and he disappears. It was like, I am needed on my home planet, and just goes vertically away to the moon. And I was like, what the fuck? And I mean, it was just a random guy I punched, and I was just laughing so hard. I mean, I've had so many dumb things happen. Like, Deputy just said that he whipped a bunch of fucking grenades into this group of guys, but he was supposed to talk with one of them. So the game defaulted to try to find the one of them that was most together. And so there's a guy with like half a face, and he's a nugget. He's like half a face and a burned torso. And the guy's like, I ain't telling you nothing, and talking perfectly normal.
So this is the Black Knight from Monty Python.
Yeah, yeah. And so you look at all this, and I hate to say it because the game was good. I hate to say it, but
yes,
Deus Ex Human Revolution, as some people say, it was a mediocre game. I really liked it. That is 10 times the cyberpunk style game than Cyberpunk 2077. Because the game worked, the upgrades and mods worked.
Yeah.
Everything worked for it out of the box. It just worked.
It just worked.
I hate to say that.
I know.
Because that phrase has become cursed.
Yes.
But the game came out, and I play it the day it came out, and I was like, what a nice game.
To Square says, Cyberpunk 2077 is a knife fight city game in a world where guns are useless.
Pretty much. And
then Carl also makes a good point that you have made, which I know you're going to get to at some point, which is 2077 has terrible music.
It has the worst. That was my next point.
Yeah.
There's so many things that show a distinct lack of polish. Like all the bugs we found. If I could not release a product like this as a game developer and say it's released, I would say it's early access, because that saves you from a lot of crucifying. If you say we're still working on it, but you can play it now, and support it, that would be great.
I think they're anti-early access is probably.
Well, they're also anti-finishing the fucking game.
Yeah. I was gonna say they have to pick a point there.
And these are all games, and the reason I'm harsh, if anyone thinks I'm too harsh, the reason I'm harsh is because I bought a game a long time ago. They kept delaying it. I'm fine with the game being delayed. They said, we got it polished, day one patch, fucking huge. I'm like, wow. I don't go, oh, this is bad. I go, oh, wow. They care enough to patch a game on day one so you have the optimal experience. And within, 2 weeks of the game coming out, I have bricked it. I cannot play my character and I have limited free time. This is a game I was really looking forward to. They said, we're ready to go. and then they give a shit. It's like going through the drive-thru and you go, man, I really want a burger. I've got Borgar on the mind.
Yeah.
And you go through and you're like, I'll have a burger. You get home, you open it up, and it's a fillet of fish that's been, fist fucked.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
I was going to say, I had no expectations prior to this game coming out. I wasn't, like, on the hype train for it. Tex got it for my birthday in this year, actually, in March. And I didn't really look at the game. I know very little about Cyberpunk at all. And even I, like, playing it with no expectations going in, I'm like, the fuck is happening here? And I'll be honest with you, I'm not anti CD Projekt Red, but I don't like The Witcher. I just don't give a shit.
You're not alone in that.
I think The Witcher 3 is probably their best Witcher game they've made, but I didn't really care for that either.
Well, no.
I just didn't like I played and beat the first Witcher. I beat half of the second Witcher before I went, what? I got to push these Brussels sprouts away. I'm done with this. This is just not fun.
I didn't care for the Witcher series.
No. That's just me, though.
And
that's just me personally. I know a lot of people like it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people love it, and I just want people as well to know that that's the place I'm coming from. But the second point is distinct lack of game design. If you go back to Grand Theft Auto 3, Mike, and you punch a guy on the street, what happens?
Usually he goes, ah, and then he falls.
Or he fights back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And
they'll usually say, like, you said what now?
Yeah, and they'll start a fight. Okay, in Cyberpunk, because I'm going to do some contrasting here. In Cyberpunk, I pull my gun out and start shooting. Everyone reacts with the same animation and runs out of the room like fucking fleas with a blowtorch on them. Right. They all act the same way.
Yeah.
So that shows lack of care in game design. 2, if you punch and kill someone in front of a cop in Grand Theft Auto, what happens?
The cops come after you.
Oh, and if you start killing cops, then what happens?
You cops will come after you for a second.
Okay.
And then
you
walk
around. They'll chase you around a bit, right?
Yeah, just for like a second.
In Cyberpunk.
No, I meant like in Cyberpunk. Sorry.
Oh no, yeah. So in Cyberpunk, you punch a cop, more cops come, and they start spawning in, and I watch them do it. They go bleep bloop, they're there, and then MaxTac comes and they just kill you.
And MaxTac's hilarious.
So I killed a bunch of MaxTac because I had the time slow mod. And
I saw their bullets curving to my face. I'm like, that's hilarious. Yeah, so that's great. No, that's exactly what they would have. They would have those smart bullets.
Yeah, of course. So I
was expecting them to be badass, and they deliver on that.
So I did the time slow thing.
Yeah.
And I just started fucking shooting them all in the face with my smart gun, and I killed a bunch of them. And before I could loot them, they disappeared. And the instant they disappeared, a fresh one appeared at that location and started shooting at me. Skeleton King strikes again. This is terrible game design.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma Team, they showed that off in that demo. Remember? They showed Trauma Team. Spoiler warning for anyone, just plug your ears and go blah, 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 blah. You don't see Trauma Team again, except for like, oh, there's their shuttle going by or whatever. They play no part in the game. That was all dressed up just to show how cool that one little bit was.
Yeah, you didn't spoil anything with that.
No, but I'm just saying it's all showmanship but no substance. It needs so much work because imagine if, and this is where I'm going to try to go, well, okay, let's talk about one more negative thing before we go to the positive. Because this has been a shit year of disappointments.
Yeah, no, there's some positive things. I still fucking play the game. So yeah.
We'll switch to positive after this, okay?
Yeah.
So here is the next big fuck up that they did. They chose the worst goddamn music
that music is so
ever
bad.
Heard in a game soundtrack. I'm such a soundtrack snob. I will admit that. Some people will say it's harsh, but I've heard they didn't even license the fucking music.
Most of it, yeah.
Yeah, they just put it in there.
Yeah.
Because they were like, filler material, Spotify playlist, go. And so when you think of Cyberpunk is this wonderful 80s and 90s rebellion against corporate culture. It's about the punk movement. Punk's in the fucking name. It's William Gibson's Neuromancer.
Yeah.
It's Snow Crash. It's all of these themes. You should have some grunge, some punk, some ska, all sorts of crazy anti-authoritarian music, but you'd have some fucking metal, some heavy fucking metal shit. I'd put Death Clock in there. Just even though it's a parody, I would put that in there. I would put all sorts of crazy, beautiful
This would be
music.
a perfect game for stuff like Perturbator or Carpenter Brute.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
And I'm like listening. I'm like, I don't hear any of these guys in here.
Absolutely.
It's not. It's somewhat. I think Goat said it's like this is like Zoomer music, but I'm like
it's Zoomer trash. It's modern rap. And
some of the students that I kept some of the students I kept in contact with because they're in college right now.
Yes,
they were like. No, this is not. Like, I asked them, like, what do you guys think of Cyberpunk 2077? They're like, man, I can't even get this fucking game to run.
Yeah, but here's...
But this music, they said the music was whack. I'm still very old. I apologize.
But here's the goddamn problem, and I'm just pointing this up.
Gunship would have been good, yes.
Well, hold on. Let me finish this thought.
Yeah, sorry.
The music is so fucking awful, and it's not hard to do, because Rockstar Games, that's who I compare it to. Because you're creating an open world game in a city with missions and submissions and side quests. You're building a Grand Theft Auto. So this is a cyberpunk Grand Theft Auto. Cool. There's a lot of things you can do with that. And there's games that are built like a Grand Theft Auto game that have their own unique spin. Like one of my favorites, Red Faction Guerrilla. It's an open world game. You can go around and do stuff. Mm-hmm. It has its own spin. You can blow up everything. You're on Mars. Oh, those are really neat little things. But my huge fucking issue is when you look at a soundtrack, like for example, for Grand Theft Auto, you have people who program music stations, write the music stations in game. So the classical music...
They contacted actual DJs and radio
or they got them to play parts in the game and program their own music station.
Yeah.
The rock station DJ is a rock station DJ. Jessica White chooses all the country music in Grand Theft Auto 5. That's why it sounds authentic, because it is. And there's so many styles of goddamn music you could put in this, like goth punk, techno, retro techno. But the problem is when you put modern rap in a game that takes place in 2077, that's like putting 1950s music in a game today and having people blaring it at a club, grinding against each other. Be like, yeah, let's go to
Good golly, Miss Molly.
Yeah, like fucking people grinding out with lights going off. That's absurd. It is fucking absurd.
The style of the game was that it was written in the 1980s, as you know. And it's supposed to be the 1980s view of the future.
Your Majesty.
Oh, and it's it really is weird because it doesn't seem like future music. It seems like music of today that nobody wanted to listen to, that they could afford to put in their game. That's what it sounds like. And everyone's pointing out, like, this is what music music might sound terrible in 57 years. I'm like, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, like, I can listen to music from hundreds of years ago and it was perfectly fine. Like, it's not a generational thing. It's just clearly bad choice in music. There's a lot of, like, you can have music that I would never like in a game, and that's fine. But to have every station be like that is, like, fucking weird.
I don't care. I don't care if I don't like the music, if it fits the setting.
Yes.
Like, I may not be able to hum all the themes from Mount & Blade Bannerlord.
Yeah.
Because the music fits in, and I don't think about it.
Yeah.
But imagine if I'm playing Mount & Blade Bannerlord, as cool as it would be, like one of my favorite songs is Fortunate Son by CCR.
Yeah.
Imagine if I started playing Fortunate Son by CCR or... REO Speedwagon's Roll with the Changes for my dad rock. And you sit there and listen to that while you're riding on a horse. That's kind of weird. That doesn't fit. The same thing with this. And it comes back to my principal issue on this.
You know what Psyduck says?
What?
Our time is now, old man.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is it shows with everything else that's wrong with the game, a huge lack of give a fuck. They just don't give a fuck. They were like, here it is.
Yeah.
And And I know they don't give a fuck because, as Gypsy pointed out in the Space Station 13 video, Fireteam Whiskey video that's coming out, one of his beautiful little footnotes he put down there is, Tex pays his part-time editors more than CD Projekt Red pays some of their full-time employees. They don't give a fuck. This is about cashing in.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, and let's turn over to the positive, because I've gotten all my ranting out of the way. I've got my tea.
Yeah.
And we're going to turn this.
Electro Swing is nice.
Yeah, Electro Swing would be.
That would be excellent. Yeah. Nice little throwback in 2077.
Right. I would love to see that because music is cyclical.
Yes.
So one of the things I think that they did very well was the aesthetic. As Mr. Welch pointed out, Night City looks like Night City.
Hold on. CDPR, can we have cyberpunk music? CDPR, we have punk music at home. Punk music at home.
That is...
That's so true.
Yeah, that's sad. But
that's good.
It's so one of the things is that I think they got the aesthetic right. Night City looks like Night City.
Oh yeah.
I wish there were more.
Oh, a medieval cover, Fortunate Son.
That exists.
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, Tex knows about it.
Yep. I've got that on my playlist for driving around. But no, I think that what there needs to be, in all honesty, is a focus on the positive at this point. So the aesthetic is fine. I wish there was more weather, different kinds of weather. Like I'd love to have the kind of rain from Blade Runner 2049. You know what I mean?
There is rain there.
Yeah, but I mean that kind of rain.
Oh, I know what you mean. Like
I call it jazz rain.
Or the movie rain, where it's like they have like a fucking sprinkler just turned on max.
I want jazz rain, as I call it. You know,
where you can't see more than 15 feet in front of you.
Yeah, and you're like in a jazz club or whatever. I really like the aesthetic of the vehicles. I think the vehicles look really nice. I think the vehicles...
They knocked it out of the park with the vehicles, man. That shit looks amazing.
Because some of the vehicles look future cool, but you can kind of see what they're drawing from. And some of the vehicles look like, man, these were old beaters that they retrofitted to be supercars. And
As you would.
Yeah, and every car in every area looks right. I like that.
Yes.
Another thing that I think is kind of sad, but I'm hoping they fix, is it's like, I go into a fancy clothing store, right? I go into a fancy clothing store and I was like, man, this is Cyberpunk Tabletop. In Cyberpunk Tabletop, if I want to wear a fucking tuxedo that's bulletproof, if I can afford it, I can have it. In Cyberpunk Tabletop, if I want to wear power armor, if I can afford it, I can have it. In this game, I go into the store, it's like a fancy store, and they're like, oh yes, please, we have the finest of styles. And I go, oh man, that's cool. What do you got?
I have a pair of pants that are cut up with a box cutter. I also have a hat. I also have, if you're interested, a pair of boots that we found outside, which we are now reselling because we can do that.
But you are too low level to use the flip-flops.
Yes, the flip-flops are beyond your street cred at the moment.
And, Von Cobra points out the aesthetic is why he disagrees about Deus Ex Human Revolution being more cyberpunk. It's too clean. I agree. The biggest...
Yeah, they definitely... Detroit doesn't look that clean, even in the future.
That was my point, in the future Detroit, like, in the brief history between when the game was written and when the game's supposed to be set, is there like an H-bomb or 8 going off, and then they bulldoze it all? Because otherwise, no. The most realistic part of that game was like the first part where there's a factory getting shot up by people and burning tires. So the thing is that, like, I love Saints Row.
Yeah.
Because whatever you wanted to look like, you could do it. You could just go into a store, and if you could buy it, you could be like, I look like Scatman Scruthers. Or, you're like, I got a cowboy hat, and I'm a cowboy. You could play the game however you wanted and look however you wanted. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
In Cyberpunk is all about being whatever you want to be. Pink mohawk, fucking look as loud or crazy or fit in or look like a corporate drone. But it's just a series of like Borderlands stats where you have mishmashed garbage in your inventory and you're like, well, now I have to wear this and do that. Why?
Yeah, I'm walking around and I'm like, oh, cool, I get this sweet like biker jacket, and then I found a pair of trash bags that I could wear or something, and it's
but it has better stats. So
it's got 50 armor more. Yeah. I'm like, wow.
Well, and that's
Glad trash bags for more Kevlar, I suppose.
Well, that was the funny fucking thing is I went to a high-end store and all he had was like scraps from a Goodwill. And then I went to the bum store and he was full of military gear. And then I waited 24 hours and all he had was mods for clothes. And I was like, what'd you do, tear all your clothes up overnight? Like overnight.
Threw it in a shredder like, nobody likes me anymore.
I mean, I could understand like in the beginning of the game where you're like in the barrios.
Those are rare trash bags though.
Well, I get in the...
Legendary.
Well, I
Legend. God, is that even a system in the tabletop game? The rare and legendary thing. I think
they made all this up. It has almost nothing to do with tabletop because here's how tabletop cyberpunk works. You're made of meat and metal, and I'm made of meat and metal, and I shoot you in the face with a 12 gauge. Guess what? You fucking die because your brain's kind of essential. In the Cyberpunk 2077, it's like, I'm meat and metal, you're meat and metal, but you have a skull over your head, so I can shoot you in the dome and have it connect 10 times with a 50 cal anti-tank rifle firing tungsten darts, and it bounces off every time because for some reason you, the unaugmented street punk, have a skull over your head, and that means I don't need to be there.
And by skull, I mean that's an MMO thing where if you go into a territory that's higher level than you won't see the level of the monster at that point. You just see like this thing will kill you instantly.
I would have loved to see realistic.
It's very MMO.
Well, like they made it dumb for people who think Fallout 4 was deep. They
Wow.
Because think about it. You had the special system, which is one of the greatest RPG systems of all time, and then they turned it into dumb mode for Fallout 4. And there is some disagreement or agreement for dumbing things down. And you see that in stuff like a good example would be Skyrim. Skyrim actually found a nice middle balance. I think some people hate the Skyrim system of use the skill, level it up, get perks.
My only problem with the system is the enemies level up with you. That's the only system I have to turn off. Other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, so I think that's dumb. But there's mods for that, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking for people who love this setting and breathe more life into it than the devs are currently capable or caring to do.
Like, if you're going to make a game with characters that you're going to progress over time, you shouldn't make the same enemies you fought in the same level 1 area all of a sudden walk around with Daedric armor.
I agree.
And superpowers. Like, no.
If I have gone all over
I want to be able to, like, they come up to me and I just go, no. And they go, oh, okay. And then they walk away. Because I'm that intimidating. I'm wearing flaming armor, and my guy could probably turn them into fireballs at this point and use them against their friends.
Well, right. But the thing is that it's like if you go on this crazy crafting quest, that's what I do in RPGs. This is how I figure out how to break RPGs. Is I go on a crafting quest.
Yeah.
I go deep into the far recesses of the world, and I craft until the game starts pushing back, and I sacrifice everything to craft the greatest stuff. And I did this in Cyberpunk. I broke the game doing that.
Yeah.
I also broke the game in Skyrim because
I have the same nightstick, and I instant kill pretty much everything that I hit with it.
Right.
Because I just kept upgrading it. Now it does so much damage. I think, what was it? You made a weapon that hit somebody 6 times a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because I stop time and do that. So then when time starts again, their head just explodes. And so it's like, boom.
That's like an anime thing where you just see them like, if you slow down their quick sword movement, you see them slice like 15 times before sheathing the sword back, and the person turns into little popsicle cubes.
And I'll play anything in a game. It's just I found all the guns kind of sucked, and I found the melee was really good. The other things that I think were really annoying, like really, really annoying, is that tabletop cyberpunk is hugely lethal. And you need to play quiet. You need to play sneaky. And I basically have made Doom Guy in my playthrough. So I'm running around at 100 miles an hour, parkouring everywhere. And then I just double barrel shotgun, shoot people in the face, and I win. And it's so fucking easy now.
Yeah.
It's so fucking easy until I broke the game. But
and playing it on harder difficulty just makes everyone a bullet sponge.
It does, but it also grants more XP. And I want a harder game so I can see the mechanics in motion. All I see so far...
And I agree with Vincent. If you're going to make stealth kills a thing, don't make the high-level enemies immune to stealth kills.
Right.
They should just be just as lethal. If maybe their armor maybe being a little more heavier, but still.
All they had to do was create a simple conversion of the tabletop mechanics, and it would have been an awesome game. And here's the problem, is the game doesn't have a lot of guns in it. Because Cyberpunk, if you open the Home of the Brave book or the Cyberpunk book, it is an ocean of guns because guns can be made anywhere.
The author is a big Second Amendment guy.
I know. I love Mike Pondsmith. Mike Pondsmith is a motherfucker who I would gladly buy a whiskey. I would love to have on the podcast. I would love to interview Mike Pondsmith because when everyone else was making garbage, this guy just kept writing the same fun shit he liked writing. And sure, he had he had a few missteps like, Cyberpunk 3.0 and what have you, but he poured more into a tabletop book than I've ever seen. The Night City Guide, the Home of the Brave book. I mean, this is world building on a scale that we rarely see. He's one of the greats. And so one of the things is with Mike Pondsmith's world is he says this is a world of guns. This is a country that has embraced the Second Amendment and carrying weapons everywhere and repealing the Hughes Amendment, NFA, everything. So everyone's armed to the teeth. And so he says you can go into an old pawn shop with a handful of local money and buy guns from World War II, Vietnam, Korean War, whatever, because they're just garbage, because there's so many crazy advanced weapons. These old guns still kill you dead. They're not useless. It's just they're not sophisticated. Yeah. Because they don't have caseless ammunition and 3,000 rounds per minute and smart bullets. But a 44 Magnum to the face still hurts. In this game, it's like, hey, here's the power revolver. Well, what other revolvers are there? Well, there's also the tech revolver. and the smart revolver. And I'm like, bullshit. I want to find all these crazy different guns. I want an ocean of guns. That's one thing Fallout New Vegas did so fucking well.
Yeah. I like the gun models. I think they did a great job on designing the aesthetic of the guns in the games. Yeah, Mr. Welch does have some good Cyberpunk tabletop videos on it, but
yeah, you should absolutely watch Mr. Welch's Mad Musings.
No, I like the guns in the game. I think they're fine. I just agree with you that there needs to be a better variety other than pistol, automatic pistol, machine gun, light machine guns. Like they just picked a category, added like 2 or 3 to each category.
Yeah,
they're like, there you go, that's all you get. And it's like now we could just variate on these different things. And it's like that guns are way. I mean, if you go to any gun catalog, there are way more guns than you guys can possibly imagine. If you're not into buying guns, go check out any gun website and then go to another one and see how different they are.
No, if you want to,
it's crazy.
What they should have done. What they really should have done is what Mike Pondsmith did. You start with a manufacturer. So, for example, everyone out there, go to a website for like Smith & Wesson or Heckler & Koch or Beretta or Benelli or anything. Or if you like guns designed by people who enjoy cocaine, Kel-Tec. And no, seriously, I love that K meme where it's just, yes, everyone's back from the Christmas party. Please, Diane, could you send the little train in here that brings the cocaine for the meetings? Because Kel-Tec's like, hey, you want a 5.7 pistol? Well, there's the FN 5.7 and the Ruger 5.7. Well, what if we made one that took what looks like small P90 mags and held 50 rounds? Well, Jesus Christ, it's like $2 a bullet. A concealed carry gun, right? Cyberpunk's around the corner. We should start mass producing these. And you're like, what the fuck? And that's
I am
Kel-Tec.
drinking this. What was this tea called?
It is an Assam tea.
It's an Assam tea.
But no, the thing is you go and you look at all of these really cool gun companies and you go check out their product catalog and you're going to find kind of what they make. So, like, if you go look at Ruger, most of it's no frills, simple, durable, reliable, easy to manufacture, and maybe their QC isn't so good. Then you go to Smith & Wesson, little pricier, little fancier, but less availability. And then you'll see, you can suddenly go, oh, that's the Rolls-Royce of guns, or, oh, that's the bargain brand. So imagine if you go fight the guys who are the nomads out in the desert. They've got old military rifles left over from the last war.
Yes.
Or they've got a bunch of military surplus they found. Or they've got a bunch of like bargain basement guns they looted off some convoy on the highway.
They have like stuff like javelins.
Yeah, they've got Mad Max shit. They have
Yeah.
Mad Max cars. So
Yeah.
it's different fighting them. Because if you take
I was talking about the rocket system, the javelin. So because in
Yeah.
that setting would be old.
Yeah, that's
And
what
they're
I
like,
mean.
oh, this old targeting system, but you're driving this one vehicle out in the middle of nowhere and you're the only target. I'm sorry, that javelin's about to fuck your world up.
Well, yeah, you fuck with one of them, and one of the buggies distracts you with like a 50 cal mounted on the roof. You don't need a smart laser guided weapon system. My Deuce will handle it. I mean,
Yes.
when our boys land
They
on
still
Mars,
have Hilux.
no, dude, when our boys land
Cyber
on
Hilux.
when the U.S. military finally lands on Mars, when the U.S. military
Yes.
finally lands on Mars,
MCRN, baby.
there will be a Mod Deuce there
Yeah.
that has 1919 manufacturer stamps on it. I guarantee it. So the thing is yeah, you'd have a guy distract you with a Mod Deuce, and you'd have another guy in the back with a fucking mortar lobbing shells at you. I mean, this is cyberpunk. Just because it's low tech doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And the game encompasses that. So let's talk about going forward. Let's talk about what we think would make the game good, what they did well, and let's bring it back to happy.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, like, optimization is always going to be a tough thing to do for a game this size, because they saved optimization for last, which, in my opinion, is, like, that should be neck and neck with your development, personally, but I'm not a game developer. I'm just looking at it from the outside in, and I feel like the saving optimization after you've already thrown your entire super salad into the mix, like you need more than just QA to tell you a bug's there. You should be testing this thing as you're going along more so, and then optimizing that to work in your world instead of throwing it all together, which is what it feels like. It feels like it was all thrown together and then they optimized it last, and then they're like, oh, it's going to take forever to optimize. I'm like, motherfucker, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're fucking throwing like 4K images and shit all over your textures and all this crazy shit. Yeah. Optimization should not come last. That should be neck and neck with whatever you're making. I mean, I try to do that with Text Talks Battletech, because if I didn't and I did all of the optimization dead last,
Yeah.
it would take us we would never have gotten the Rifleman out.
Right. And that's the thing, is optimization is one thing I hope they develop on. Two, I want to see an overhaul of the RPG system to be a little bit more deep, because the perks seem kind of scattered. Some don't really work in the game. Like there's a lot of shooting ones that work better behind cover. All of the enemies are parkouring everywhere and throwing grenades at you.
Yeah.
Working behind cover in that game is not very smart, especially at higher levels when you have guys that are just tearing the shit out of things. So what you need to see is something that rewards, movement and parkour. And there's some skills that do that.
I like the idea of it being more parkour heavy.
Yeah, it's going to be very fluid because you have a city. It's a 3D battle space.
What was that game? I picture it. It's the game with the really fancy white walls and everything.
Yeah.
The free running game from EA.
Yeah.
Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
It needs to have more of that.
Well, yeah.
Because I think they were going in that direction originally, and I think not keeping that same direction really ruins the ability to, because it's hard to get around in the city. Like you can drive. I don't want to keep piling on bad things, but the driving system in this.
Oh God, the cars feel like
you're driving bricks.
It feels like. Have you ever pushed a heavy cart that had little casters instead of wheels?
Yeah, that's
what the cars feel like.
And I tried playing with a controller as well. It's the same problem, and it's a motorcycle. Motorcycles should be able to turn a lot better than that. But that's just one thing. Like optimization, of the gameplay, and also just optimization so people on, last gen graphics cards can still play the game would be good.
Yeah.
It's not like you guys should not be striving to be Crysis. Crysis was a failure in optimization because every graphics card company had to have that slogan, "Can it run on Crysis?" And it's like, that shouldn't be the benchmark. That game should be finished. Like the benchmark should be a benchmark, a program designed specifically to benchmark, not a product that you sell to the public for them to be able to play on. It should be optimized.
I agree. And it's one of those things like, hey, would you buy a pacemaker that
spend another year?
Would you buy a pacemaker that had optimization issues?
No.
Would you buy a car that had optimization issues?
Hell no.
So why would you buy a game that has optimization issues?
It's also there's nobody can tell you that they have bad optimization because there's no
way to not know it. You boot the fucking thing up. Wow, this looks like shit. Well, it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
Like if I open the fucking oven and I go, "Oh boy, my pizza's done," and it's still frozen, I go, "No, it's not," and I close the door and I wait, right?
Yeah, and you sit there and watch it and you go, fuck it. And you reach in there and you eat it anyway.
No.
And that's what we did with Cyberpunk. Like, it came out, it's like still soggy from the...
And I agree. This is still partially on us because here's the thing is when it comes down to Tex Talks Battletech, there's always like, I'd say 20 people who are like, G-Tex, when's it coming out? When's the video? And I'm like, okay, look, bud, these take like 2,000 fucking hours. And I try to explain it to them like an adult. But the problem is these are children. So there's still a lot of people out there, except it's millions of people right now screaming, I want my game! I want my game! And the investors go, time's hot, we got to sell it right now. And then it goes out and it's not fucking done.
Yeah.
And the developers know it's not fucking done. They should have said, you know what, it's not fucking done. We're delaying a year and polished it for a year. Imagine if they polished it every day for a year.
Oh, they told them. They just didn't care.
Of course.
So
this is partially on the screaming idiots who hype the shit out of this game. Because I'm the kind of guy who will wait for the pizza to be done. I would rather have a good slice of pizza than one I put in the microwave because me hungry now. It's that sort of balance. By the way, it's Raging Goblin's birthday.
Yes, I was gonna mention that in our next segment.
Right. So yeah.
Happy birthday, Raging Goblin.
Right. And Matt Asgardian also raises a really good point. He says, we need a Consumer Reports for gaming, a nonprofit voice that doesn't basically serve as the PR wing of gaming companies.
Yeah, thanks, ESRB.
Yeah, I talked about that in a Let's Play probably years ago. But I said, I remember when I was young, there was this magazine I liked called PC Gamer. Because in PC Gamer...
I love PC Gamer. I have quite a few of their demos still in my closet.
My first Command & Conquer game was PC Gamer's, Command & Conquer demo disc. And see, PC Gamer back in the day, there would be like, I don't know, 3 or 4 advertisements in the whole fucking thing, usually for computers.
Yeah.
And
usually Alienware.
Yeah, usually Alienware or Falcon Northwest.
Yes.
Buy our $9,000 box. And the rest of it was just scathing game reviews. And they would have one game that maybe hit like 89%.
Yeah, they were pretty hardcore
they
about
were so hardcore about everything. They played the shit out of games. But see, as time went on, PC Gamer started to get more and more adverts for games in there. And the reviews got smaller and smaller. And everything became like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. And then, see, people stopped listening to the print media because everything was hype machines. So people went online. And at first, online game reviews were snark-filled rants.
Yes.
And then slowly and slowly, these websites that catered to game reviews started getting bought out. And there would be a review on a game that says, this is a great game, surrounded in the border in the background of buy this game. Well, you wonder why that review is so nice. Because, if I fly you out to my shitball hotel in the middle of Eastern Europe and I put you on a 5-star airline and you get a first-class seat and I take you to a spa and I bring you to all these clubs and everything, you're probably going to say your trip to my shitball place was an amazing palace and a wonderful buy and well worth blah, 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 blah. It's going to sway your opinion. So then, after that, people went to YouTube. And people started being this independent voice and independent media. But the problem is on YouTube, even now, you'll sit there.
Them advertising money.
Yeah, that money comes a-walking.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
And it also works both ways for them, too.
Yes, it does.
Because not only can they advertise the game, they can then turn around and shit right on it for the same kind of advertiser money from something else.
Right.
Because they'll know that they'll get the views from shitting on the game.
Right. And so the thing is that
it's a fucking racket.
Well, and the best way I can see to sum things up, to see how disjointed it is go look at, like, Metacritic.
Oh, yeah.
Where everyone can every Tom, Dick, and Harry can go out there and fucking bang out an opinion. Me hate game no have tits. downvote, and just can write that. And that's a legitimate review. That's a legitimate point of view out there. It's maybe not the smartest or most eloquent or well thought out. It's perhaps the narrowest point of view in existence, but it's legitimate because it's theirs. So then you'll go out there and look at a game, and it'll say, 85 out of 10, really good game. The editors say that. And then you look over at everyone else, and they're like, 3 out of 10 doesn't run. and you go, I wonder who is being compensated for their opinion.
I do like the idea Manus Guardian brought up, though, that we need that third-party company that can just say, this game doesn't work. Don't buy this game. It does not work. They would never get advanced review copies because of that. Yeah, that's the main thing. All the advanced review copies that people get, if they're supposed to be legitimized reviewers, they'll get advanced review copies, and they'll put an embargo on when you can release your review of a game, like weeks before, or like a day or so before it comes out. So people have to wait really like right up to the last minute, so that way they can get all their sales in. And it's like, no, the game company should not control their review of a game before it comes out. That is, it has completely shifted. There's nothing we can do about that now because that's where the money is.
Well, and the other thing is, and this is the thing that's crazy, is I learned this my first year on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is the game Space Marine came out. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Oh, it's Relic. Oh, shit, I love Relic. Relic does good stuff. So Space Marine comes out. And I play Space Marine. And I am doing the most insane things. I have 2 computers, right?
Yeah.
I had 2 shitbox computers. One is playing Space Marine. The other is rendering videos and uploading them. And I did it all in one 24-hour period. I recorded all of Space Marine, uploaded all of it in 10-minute segments. I released it the first minute you could release it. And someone already had 12 hours of gameplay. Some people are more equal than others. Some people get advanced copies, and some people are going to get all of their view is more important than the rest of us. And the problem is as a consumer, when I see that someone can get the bullhorn and drown everyone else out, there's some personalities out there that can get their bullhorn and go, this is a great game. And I go, no, that's a janky, unfinished piece of Euro trash. And people go, you just don't like games. And I'm like, I've been playing them my whole fucking life. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And I've actually played enough of the tabletop setting to go, this is in artistic ways Cyberpunk, but in every other way, it is a cash-in. And I say that of the game as of this moment, December the 23rd, 2020. As of this moment, that is my point of view. In the future, my point of view may change.
Yes.
Because I'm an adult and I don't get stuck in a point of view. It'll change where the winds blow. But as of right now, the game needs some serious fucking work.
Yeah. And David makes a good point here. It's called vertical integration. It's like if the owner of Taco Bell acquired a brand of laxatives.
You don't need that.
I like that.
But no, the point I'm trying to make is I am frustrated, not because I bought a bad game. I've backed plenty of trash in my day. I've been ripped off so many times by early access.
We can't always see when it's going to come. And somebody, I saw that Black Bladder said, the best way you can fix it is just not buy a game on day one.
Yeah, just don't. And that is my advice, is like, wait a year.
Yeah.
Wait that year for them to polish it. But and I'm hoping they do a good job, because I want to like this game. I want to like this game a lot. I really do want to like this game. But it's being very abusive of my time.
It is.
And one of my maxims is it shouldn't be hard to like something. You shouldn't be frustrated when you're playing a game, not because you're bad at it, but just because it doesn't let you do anything.
And Retro, I also love The Long Dark too. I've been repping The Long Dark. I've been trying to eventually get Tex to play it. It's one of my favorite games because he makes a good point. It's an example of a company having a vision and then sticking with that vision. Even though the game's main story is not yet complete, you can play it. It's a pretty long game anyway. They're still building on it, and it's a fully playable game with almost no bugs that I could ever find because they give a shit.
Well, yeah.
And they take their fucking time with it.
Well, and that's the thing, is that's why
And beware the wolves, exactly.
That's why I always have praise for people like... oh, nice.
Magic Fowl.
I always have praise for people like Zach and Tarn Adams, because Zach and Tarn Adams said, I'm going to make the most complex goddamn simulation known to man. And 15 years later, they're not like, well, we need sports cars now and a bigger house. They're like, yeah, we're going to still keep working on this. And it doesn't matter how popular or unpopular they are. They're just going to keep working on it.
Yeah.
Because that's what a craftsman does. It's not trying to turn out a cheap product. It's trying to turn out a masterpiece, a life's worth of work where every day you build on it and become better and better and better. And you keep building and improving yourself through dedication to your craft. Yeah. They give a shit. That's the difference. All right, so we're at the point in the podcast.
Non-Albion Anion.
Yeah.
Thank you for the courtesy.
All right. So we're at the point in the podcast and our stream where we're going to actually say, for the people listening on the podcast, if you wrote questions in to the Black Pants Legion email, if you wrote those into the Black Pants Legion email, we're done taking written questions. So you have to send them to Anchor FM. Go to anchor.fm, and I think it's /Black Pants Legion. And you can submit audio questions. And we're going to show you why this is so fucking cool. Because I've talked about it. And we're going to show you why it's cool.
Yeah.
Because you can call in, and it's like a radio show. Like real legit radio.
Also, let's also take some questions from the chat while I get this set up, because I feel like we were talking quite a bit and we were reading everything you guys were saying. It was just we were getting this is how the podcast gets. We kind of get into what we're doing. Forget the world around us.
Well, that's the thing is it shows
we're not good at this.
No, we're terrible at podcasting, and yet somehow we're fairly popular.
But yeah, go ahead and ask, and Tex will give some answers while I go ahead and get this set up.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to read both chats at once. Oh my God, this is going to be hard. I'm terrible at this, but if you have any questions, just do an yeah. I'm going to try to read both chats at once. Oh my God. This is why I always have a helper on my streams, because I'm shit at this. So 1 second, trying to get this to where I can read both at once. That would be nice, Mr. Tex, the prepared man that he is. So let's hear some questions and I'll answer them. All right, let's see. If I was a soup, what soup would I be? Beef stew, I think. Like a hearty beef stew. What about the retail space that was bargained and done for Cyberpunk? CDPR said they lost 6 months of productivity due to COVID. I'm not sure if I buy that, because I think almost every high-tech office has gone completely remote and found that not only is it possible, but it's highly efficient. My work has done that. And if my work can do it, I think any work can, because mine is a job that traditionally doesn't encompass this sort of stuff, and we adapted very quickly. I've seen schools and everyone else adapt to this, and a lot of essential services adapt to this and do very well. And so if they're like, yeah, we at a high-tech gaming company can't do our high-tech jobs from remote, I think that's horseshit.
Yep, that. Mm-hmm.
If I could drink one thing for the rest of my life, what would it be? Probably iced tea. Probably.
That's a good choice.
Someone asked, common question, is the BPL still accepting new members? We're about to open membership soon, but we are being very selective at this point. So just wait. Patience is a virtue, and it demonstrates much of the man. All right, let's see. Next we got favorite Legend of the Five Rings clan. Crab. Can I get
the best co-op game that came out recently?
Oh, Due Process.
Yeah. Or Nom Nom Galaxy.
Nom Nom Galaxy is not recent, but
okay.
but Due Process. Oh my God! If you like the game Intruder, but you also like laughing your ass off in really short rounds, Due Process is hilarious.
And if you also like Knife Fight City,
yeah,
it's very much Knife Fight City.
It's like if Knife Fight City was a game. That's how it feels. It's pretty good.
What is the Christmas Mauser?
The Christmas Mauser, I actually snagged a really good deal. I remember back when, especially the Yugo Mausers, the M48, the M48A and A2s were about $150, but they were all banged up, especially with Mitchell's Mausers, and that's a whole nother rant. But I found an unmolested one, an M48A, and I remember when they were about $150, $200. They've gone significantly up. Mine is mint. There's no nasty marks on it. There's no huge stamps over it. It's unmolested. It's original barrel. The barrel is a 5 out of 5. The stock on this is a 5 out of 5. It has some minor rack wear, and I got it for a song and a dance. So it's a Yugo Mauser. All the numbers are matching and everything, and I got it for very, very cheap. I enjoy collecting guns. If I had, like, a lot of people said if they won the lottery, what would you do? I could spend easily $100,000 collecting rare and interesting firearms. So
and then working on them.
And then working on them.
He's not just like buying them so he can look at them. He wants to work on them. He's very much a tinkerer.
Yeah. Favorite weird historical fact. Okay. Grammar. A dispute over grammar and punctuation started the Russian Revolution.
Wow.
The Typesetters Guild, the St. Petersburg newsprint and paperworks were striking because they argued that typeset was typeset and they should be paid for every character, and their bosses said punctuation does not count toward that payment. So a disagreement over the importance of punctuation helped fuel the labor strike that started the revolution. Remember your grammar, boys and girls. You may end up with some dead czars. Just saying.
Any good book recommendations other than Dune? I put that annotation in there. I'm still working through Dune.
If you're looking for a book to suck you in, recently I reread The Book Thief. That's a very good book. I would also highly recommend, with Cyberpunk, read Neuromancer, and you can kind of see where Cyberpunk started off, and Snow Crash as well. I had not read Snow Crash until recently. It had just not hit my radar through some fluke, But yeah, I would recommend any of those.
Yeah, even Crazed Kinko says, thank you for the indirect reading suggestion on Dune. He can see why it's one of your favorites.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a great book. Michael asks, can we see the Mechanicus revolver? No. I built it and sold it, and we also can't show guns on Twitch. Otherwise, Dude, if we could show guns on Twitch without getting banned,
we just go through his armory.
Yeah, it is.
Unfortunately, no. Somebody ruined that for everybody, so we cannot do that. And that is Twitch's rule. I am not going to dispute with the people who run this website. It is their servers. It is their service. We are just here to enjoy it. So if they say we can't do it, we're not going to be able to. But just know he did make it, and you sold it, right?
Yeah, I did. I build guns, and then sometimes I tire of them. And it was a Ruger GP100, so mechanically the gun wasn't interesting to me, and mechanically also it's a substandard revolver to a Smith & Wesson in every way.
Can we hear guns on Twitch? No, I'm not going to play with that fire. We could do it in games, but we're not going to try.
No,
we're not going to test the system.
I did it at the beginning. I racked them out.
No, you didn't. That was a game sound.
That right. I made that with.
No, we have sound effects.
Yes.
See, here's one of them.
You get caught up in love.
Sword fighter. Yeah. Okay. So.
My Mauser.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not gonna show off photos of my armory on Twitter. I don't want anyone to think I'm like starting a militia.
But no, Twitter's not a good place for that.
If we did show off a lot of my guns in one of those Mech Warrior videos, and even Fiesta Pale itself, that was in one of the Mech Warrior Madness. That's on my main homepage.
We put it in the intermission.
Yeah,
we try to put stuff in there. So yeah, we'll show off more. It's just the platforms are not really,
Yeah, they're not really friendly. My armory also, I don't think would fit into a single shot.
While we might be very responsible with the firearms that we have, the majority of the people that we have watched do that made the rules that we have to now deal with are the reasons why we can't.
That guy who did a desk pop, he fucking shot his monitor. I laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
I'm a qualified Glock master armorer. And as soon as I watched that, I knew what was going to happen. As soon as I fucking saw that, I was like, Indy, and pop. And he's like, oh my God, it just went off. Boys and girls, you guys listening out there, if you ever hear someone say, quote, it just went off, end quote, the actuality of that being a true statement is 1 in 1,000. Because if you say, I had a negligent discharge through no fault of my own, that gun company will send a team of engineers to your fucking house to find out what happened. Because that is a huge liability on the scale of guns production. So like for a SIG, the SIG P320, they found out, they're not drop safe because the action's too light and they can go off if dropped at a certain angle. And they fixed it immediately. The gun industry takes that very seriously. 99.9% of the time when someone says it just went off, it was your finger on the trigger at the time of this gun going off? And if the answer is yes, it didn't go off for no reason.
Right. Well, I think that's a good segue into the voice questions.
Yes.
And we'll answer more as we go along here. Let's go ahead. And I don't remember where we left off, so just let me know if this sounds familiar, and then I'll skip. Because I made a playlist.
Yeah, and then we deleted them? We delete them when we use them, right?
I hoped so.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
Hold on, let me actually take a quick look. Because I'd have the original.
Oh, and I know, Reductive, the Glock Armorers School is the easiest armorers class. It's also the one that makes you the most money in gunsmithing because people go, I want a Glock with a Faxon barrel. And you're like, oh, yeah, installs $45. It takes 4 seconds. I'm not trying to say I am a huge gun expert. I am a middling gunsmith. I'm I'm just pointing that out because it's from my argument from a position of modest authority, but it's plain to be.
And text, I did not delete those because I'm an idiot. Okay, so
oh no,
so we're gonna have to go. How many did we answer last time?
5.
You sure?
I think.
Let's start with Casey. Let's see if we already answered this.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
My name is.
Yeah, I remember that.
Tex and friends.
I remember that one.
Hello, Black Pants Legion. 2 questions. First one for Tex. Who is your favorite Primarch, or what is your favorite Space Marine?
We did that one.
Yeah, we did that one.
Hey, Legionnaires. I'm David. This is a movie trailer that I thought of after listening to your Knife Fight City episode.
I think we've heard that one.
Yep.
Oh, hey guys, love the show. I'm getting back into D&D recently after being out since 3.5, and I'm working on creating my own setting that has arcane feel, that's the world of Faerun in an industrial revolution period, and I was just wondering what kinds of things should I look out for. I've never DM'd before, but I want to create my own world to build and plan, and was just looking for some general kind of DM or world building advice. Anything you guys have would be greatly appreciated. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
That was from Derek.
All right, Derek. Thank you for saying that. When you're world crafting, you got 2 ways. Like if you've never DM'd before, don't homebrew. Just run a module just to get the shakes off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to get the nerves out.
Also, run a module that's in the core book so you can see how all the rules and stuff play out. Because usually they put a module in there that's specifically made for you to test out every system.
Right.
Usually.
And secondly, if you are going to homebrew, go talk to a master or watch a master explain settings. Because like Mr. Welch's Mad Musings, he has breakdowns of all these different game systems. You can go watch him. If you want to learn DM tricks that are really in-depth and insightful, go watch Seth Skorokowski. His series on DM, how to DM.
He's got RPG philosophy.
Yeah, he has all this wonderful philosophical stuff, especially in making games your own. But the third thing is, before you can DM, play in a game. Get refreshed with what players like and what players don't like. So play in a game with a friend, and then when you get out of a game, ask him, what did you like that he did? What do you wish he could do better? Start understanding what people like, because if it's not fun as a player, it's going to suck as a DM. You're going to be a DM that has to sit there with a broomstick and prod everyone, and you don't want to be that guy. As for world crafting in a Victorian era or something similar, I would recommend reading some Victorian literature, or at least Victorian pulp literature. And I would also recommend playing Arcanum through. Play Arcanum through and write down what you like about it.
Yeah.
Say, I like this. Wow, that was fun.
Thank you, whoever Basher.
Right. So you play Arcanum and you write down what you like. You just write down what you like, because one of the best tricks to being a DM is just steal shit.
Yeah, make it your own.
Just steal shit and make it your own.
Players want to play a game that's cool and fun and something that everyone can enjoy. And people enjoy things that you enjoy if you enjoy doing them. I know that sounds weird. The grammar probably didn't make any sense, but if you enjoy something,
yeah, just go with it.
It's infectious.
Just fucking go with it. Just go with it. Because if you're excited, your players will see that. Yeah. They'll know you care.
Look, I'm not a huge math guy, but everyone that I've played with so far has not complained about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can suck at the rules so long as you can tell a story. So find stories you admire and find out why you admire them, and then use that.
And also, Raging Goblin's late to the party, but we already said happy birthday to you, so we're going to say it again. Happy birthday, Raging Goblin.
There you go.
Because if I don't, he's German, and he would let me know.
Yeah.
He's like, you did not wish me happy birthday. It has been noted.
I asked specifically for the birthday wishings, and now Poland must disappear. And you're like, whoa, that
went somewhere else.
Oof.
All right, let's go to the next one.
We must bring out Mr. Clean's magic clinch eraser.
This one's from Eric B.
Hello, techs and friends. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I've been a long-time DM, but I need to be slightly careful with this question because I know two of my players listen to your podcast. So Alex and Steve, if you're listening, pause now and skip this part. But Tex, I was inspired by your Ameris Civil War series. If you were going to run that in D&D, what rules set would you use to best run the Ameris Civil War for your players?
All right.
I love everything you guys are doing. Keep up the great work. The BPL is amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Eric.
Here's the thing: is if you're going to run something that is as complex and crazy and conniving as factions and political intrigue and a war, watch Mr. Welch's stuff on Mystara, because that is a system that really well encompasses it. D&D 3.5 would probably be the best if you're running it in D&D. And just choose a country with a succession system that is not working well, like a confederation or something like the Holy Roman Empire, and have a succession crisis and various generals splintering off to tell this story. And it could work quite well in D&D. Unless you're trying to run it in Battletech, there is the Time of War book, but I've read through that and said, holy Jesus, this is terrible. Because the story writing parts of it are fun, the math parts of it are not. And it's one of those things. Like, if I was going to run, the Ameris Civil War, and you're playing literally the Ameris Civil War, just kit bash D100 into it. Everyone understands percentile. Figure out some simple shit, and then read the Ameris Civil War core books, because that gives you all the campaigns and
the Fall of Terra 1 and 2. Yeah.
Such great resources. Such great fucking resources. But yeah, thanks for the kind words. And by the way, I'm going to talk to your players right now. Be good to your DM. Bring him to Tino's Pizza Rolls. Bring him each a tray. And compliment him on his DMing. DMing is hard. Be nice to him.
I agree with that. It's also Cold Dog.
I know.
He's over here. He's just like, oh no. Oh, good old Cold Dog. All right, this one's coming from Grinny. Just Grinny. Grinny.
Hey, BPL. This is the real Grinny. I have listened to you guys for almost 2 years now.
Wow.
And I just wanted to say, one, I'm a delivery driver. And so when Mike talked about delivery drivers being awesome that actually hide their packages and keep things safe and are, risking themselves during the pandemic, that's me. And I do feel seen. I'm, grateful
yeah.
that at least someone notices it. It's been a rough time. And regardless of whatever text says, laser swords are best swords. So bite me. We can argue about that.
Okay, hold on. Where's my gun?
And overall, I just want to say that you guys are doing some really, really cool work. I never expect in my time to see documentary-style presentations on any Battletech-related anything. Sometimes it feels like you guys in the BPL are single-handedly reviving the franchise. So, best of luck, stay safe, and keep on podcasting.
Thank you. And also, where's my ACSS 3-power scope, man? You were supposed to bring that a week ago. No, so, yeah,
Thank you very much, Grinny, for your service.
Thank you for being a goddamn good delivery driver. Because seriously, like when I wish Amazon had an option to choose who delivered packages and tipping them. Because I have that option when I have groceries delivered. If I have groceries delivered, I have that option for food delivery. I have that option for everything. I think that would be awesome because if I could know that I would have a guy that wouldn't throw my shit around, I'd tip him. That's absolutely a tipping service. I would love to help someone out by saying, hey, you take a little extra care. Here's, $20. Thanks for bringing that, not fucking that up. I would love to do that.
That would be really nice. I think that if you do the kinds of things that allow other people to basically receive their packages without worry, you're a fucking hero, honestly. Because I am just always, like, whenever I know a package is coming, I'm always worried that somebody's going to steal it, or they're just going to leave it, or they're just going to say that they sent it, USPS, and then, dropped it off, and then the next day it's like, I'm about to call them up, and then I find it on my doorstep because the guy was just like, I'm going home. I mean, I get it. It's rough right now, especially with the holidays and everything going on.
Yeah. And these guys do a fuckload of work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for your service. Laser swords are kind of gay. Next.
Wow. All right, next, Jason.
Greetings, Tex, Crow, and assorted special guests of the podcast. What is the most gruesome, impressive, and or entertaining player character death you have personally witnessed in a tabletop role-playing game?
Oh.
Regards, Swish.
Okay, I got a few, and they're all in Dark Heresy.
Okay.
Okay. One of my absolute favorites was this was great. This guy specialized in explosives. He had nothing but explosives. He was an explosives-based guy. He was like Murdoch from the A-Team. Like,
okay.
And so he was all based on explosives. He had a rocket launcher. He had a grenade launcher. He had all these explosives. He was like, yeah, I can get that safe open. Yeah, I can blow through that wall, blah, blah, blah. Just masterful, whatever. And he gets to this moment in the game where there's a bad guy, and he's like, I take out my melter grenade, and he rolled for range, and it just dropped at his feet, and it blew him up. And it was so fucking funny because explosives, it follows the square of explosives damage calculation. Yeah. So all the explosives on him go off. And so there's this character who's like, all right, it's time to, and then the whole block goes. And he kills the whole party. And we were all laughing our asses off because it's just that Hollywood moment of like, the guy's supposed to throw a grenade, at the bad guy and blow him up at the very last end of this thing, and the campaign ends with them all dying. And it was so
Nuke
fucking
the party.
Funny. Yeah, well, they killed the bad guy, but it killed the whole block.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, let's do the next one. But I had another one in Dark Heresy where a guy tried to have a sword fight with this other guy. It was really funny because he was trying to sword fight this guy, and he had all of his shit in sword fighting, just complete weapons master. He biffs all of his rolls. The other guy punches him and just kills him. He punches him in the eye and kills him. And it was just an average guy. So you see this guy pull out his sword, shing, does the sword dance thing, fight me, and the guy just falls over, and he's dead. And we were just laughing hysterically at that.
Someone's like, you just need one of these?
No, he just had like an aneurysm. Yeah. Oh, it was so good. I had a guy get killed by a door. Yeah. He's like, I'll hold the door open, you go through. And I was like, it's a hydraulic door. And he's like, I'll roll for it. And I'm like,
no.
I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, no, it's a hydraulic door. when a DM says it's a blank blank, that's not saying you can't. That's saying you shouldn't. So I go, it's a hydraulic door. It's like a giant blast door that's trying to close. And he's like, I'll hold it open. And it cut him in half. And everyone else in the party's like, I'm going to try to save him. And I was like, it is half a person. And they're like, no, I'll just take the top half. And I was like, no, he was split lengthwise. And they're like, ew. No,
we'll make
gone.
him half a Borg.
Yeah, no, he's quite dead.
All right, so, let's go to the next one. This is from JS Blue.
Howdy, Texan folks on the podcast. I just have a couple of things to say. First is, thanks for all the hard work you do in putting out these podcasts, all the content on the channel. It's really appreciated by all those that watch. The next is, you know any good barbecue places in Texas? You don't need to answer this one if you don't want to, but I need some good fucking barbecue right now.
Oh, yeah.
And the third and final thing is, I do highly recommend Cowboy Bebop. It's got fucking ballin' music and is a good watch.
That man sounds like he is born and raised in Texas.
He definitely does. Okay, so the best
Very
barbecue
much so.
place in Texas is Franklin's. That's in Austin. Franklin's is absolutely like the yardstick right now. I loved Good Company Barbecue outside of Katy, where I grew up. There's Terry Black's in Austin. There's Kreutz Market in Lockhart. There's Lockhart Smokehouse in Dallas. There's 1775 Texas Pit Barbecue in College Station. Black's Barbecue in Lockhart. There's Heim Barbecue in Fort Worth. There's Killen's Barbecue in Pearland. There's Bodacious Barbecue in, I want to say, Longview. And then there's in Driftwood, there's the Salt Lick. I mean, that's just the ones I can remember. But yeah, the reason I can remember those is I'm salivating thinking about
And
them.
you know someone's hungry. This is a rule I have. I've said this before.
Yeah.
If you start describing food in detail, you are hungry.
Yes.
And someone like, oh, well, then I'm always hungry. Yeah, sometimes people are just always hungry. But I'm saying if at some point you start thinking about food and then you start describing food in detail, you're hungry. It's usually your brain is thinking about all the deliciousness of the food. Broadwings has this really funny little D&D 5e character thing he posted over on Twitch. He says, D&D 5e first character I ever made for TTRPGs in general. Completes arena fight, gets rope of useful items out of the mystery box reward. At really low HP, pulls one patch, gets hit in the face with a rowboat. Pulls the next patch, get hit in the face with a portable ram. Pull next patch, 10-foot pole opens underneath me. Fall 10 feet, get knocked unconscious by falling damage. Killed by falling rowboat and portable ram.
Yeah, I knew one.
That's like some Looney Tune shit.
Yeah,
I love it.
I remember where one guy in D&D did Featherfall to jump off a tower and survive, and he's like, "Ha! I've escaped you!" And he's slowly feather falling down, and everyone on the ground just starts shooting him with arrows. So this body just falls to the ground slowly, and it's filled with like 80 arrows. Just. I've escaped. Yeah,
there's just this porcupine of a man falling to the ground.
Yeah.
All right, the next one is from Kane. Not Kane from Command & Conquer, I don't think, but this is from Kane.
Yeah.
G'day, Tex. Love your work, mate. I recently saw that you've got some very old Neverwinter Nights videos in your playlist. I was curious if you wanted to talk a little bit about that, or better yet, Baldur's Gate 3, if that takes your interest.
Neverwinter Nights I intend to play through again because there's that Ultimate Edition on Steam that does a lot of updates, and I think I might get the Legion to do that, you know, have rotating crews record with me as we go through. I would love to do that because it's D&D 3.0. That's where I started cutting my teeth in D&D, and Neverwinter Nights was such an amazing fucking game. If anyone out there needs a game review, I'm not partnered with any game key resellers or whatever. I get no money recommending shit, but if you've got 40 to 60 hours to kill and you don't have a lot of money, Neverwinter Nights on GOG Steam, wherever. Well worth it.
Yep.
That is my yardstick by which I judge RPGs.
It's a good yardstick.
And has infinite replayability for classes. So, next question.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. Next one is from Kudos DM.
Hello to Tex, Mike, and Nick, the McCoy, Scotty, and McCoy of the Black Pants Legion. I really like this podcast. I listen to every episode. I like Tex Talks Battletech. It's the best lore series on YouTube. Better than everything else. I really like the Star Trek game series. It's the best live play that I've ever listened to because I don't lose interest after 5 minutes of people with their personalities. A question I got as dungeon mastering advice, or rather world building advice, since you guys are into that. There's a lot of things that you can do with world building that gets to be kind of indulgent. So I'm curious on where you guys lie on the field of indulgent world building for the sake of the dungeon master that gets really in depth, or just what's really necessary for the players and what they need to know for the game. That's everything. If you want to add me on Discord, it's KUSODM #8431. Great podcast. Love everything you do. Bye-bye.
All right.
Well, there you go. Now everybody has your information. Now, well, as I said, we didn't vet any of these, so let's hope nothing bad happens.
Whoops.
Anyway.
No, I'm sure he'd probably appreciate it because knowing the group of people we have right now, would probably go out and reach out to this guy and say, I want to play in your game. Or they would say, I've got some DM tips. Or, hey, have you checked these resources out? That's the group of people we have listening. And I feel very, very, very good in that. But as far as it goes with indulgences, show don't tell is one of my biggest things as a DM. I don't want 800 fucking handouts. I want you to tell me what I see, what I taste, what I hear, what I touch.
Yeah.
Because if I give a fuck, I'll ask questions. If I don't give a fuck, I don't want 12 pages of exposition on why the market square is red. I don't care. I'm there to make money. So, show don't tell.
Yeah.
Be prepared for it. But don't create this giant world that's like a Disneyland museum where they pull you through on the little cart and they're like, all right, and now here's a small world after all. And next we're going to go to this. Next we're going to go to that because that's a railroad. Show don't tell.
Yeah. Let them see it for themselves. Let them react.
Yeah. Build the world around the players.
And don't get mad if they make a mistake or do something that's outside of the scope of whatever campaign you're doing.
And if you punish them, make it fun.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite punishments, which Mike's going to realize this is one of my favorite punishments. One of my favorite punishments for a party that thinks they know what they're doing is make them be the police.
And what's funny is I never went into this thinking I didn't go into anything that you're playing right now that I feel like I know what I'm doing, which is perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect for that. But no, one of the things is if you get a lot of adventurer players who build all these characters that can do all these things and they think they're good at it, arrest them in a major city and then make their sentence be for a community service they have to join the city watch. Do that. And you will watch your players suddenly start to have a lot of fun because they're on the other end of the thing, not trying to stay away from the city watch. They're suddenly like, oh, wait, I'm the city watch. Oh, yeah, let's go bust that up. I got authority now.
Yeah, have fun with it. And then I think that'll be fun if you can pull that off. Just don't really worry about it. If anything, just try your best to say yes. Don't try not to say no too much unless it's like something just outside. Like if they're saying like they're playing D&D and they're like, I pull out a Glock. You're like, no. You pull out a magical missile weapon, which could be in the shape of a Glock if your character knew what a Glock was. See, you could do stuff like that. You don't have to say no outright. You just have to explain it. The best way I spent the better part of the last decade in a lot of improv stuff. I wasn't in the class per se. I was the guy who was filming it, so actors can get comfortable in front of a camera. And I had to get in. I had to learn all of this, and I learned semester after semester after semester of the same stuff. And some of the best explanations I've got was yes and.
Yeah, yes and. That's exactly what you do.
Yes and. Best advice I got for a lot of things in life, but for DMing, it's helped me out a lot. I'm still really shocked that people really enjoy it. So I'm going to keep on doing that. Next one is from Laird again. Actually, no, this one's from Laird and then Laird again because he sent us 2. So we'll do the first one.
So I'm wondering, what does the B Squad look like on a 40K ship?
Oh, no.
Who cleans up after the big pantaloons go about to their sleepy time, whatever they do with their polishing their chain swords and whatnot? That's a small series I wouldn't mind seeing pieces of. And also, Goat is a musical genius. Thank you, Goat.
Thank you, Laird. Yeah. Yes, I actually like the idea. I like the direction of that. Don't talk about the big epic thing. Talk about the people cleaning the shit up. That team. I love the B. That's my favorite is the B team. Because the legendary shit's boring. Everyone's going to hear about the legendary shit. I want to hear about the B team that's going to deal with the taxes and the the audits of all the systems. It's like, well, shit, how much ammo did you spend?
Yeah, and
chase people down to get papers signed.
Yeah, I mean, on a 40K ship, the B Squad would be like, oh, well, we need to do an accurate tally of how many lemons we have today, and let's do that.
You can get into a lot of shenanigans and a lot of fun. Just playing the people. I love doing mundane things in extravagant, crazy worlds. There's just something really fun about that. Where it's like, imagine if you played Cyberpunk, but instead of being like the street samurai, you're just a guy who's like a barista, and you have to be at work at 5 every day. And people are like, oh, that sounds boring. I'm like, you look at Cyberpunk as a world, and then try to be a barista in that. Somebody walks up and is just like, hey, man, I want a coffee, and they have scars all over. There's a fucking story there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or somebody tries to hold your shit up, and you're just a barista. You don't fucking, like, it's Cyberpunk. You're going to pull a gun out at some point. Everybody has a gun. So, yeah, I'm like, I think that would be way more interesting. So, yeah, B Squad's I'm all about that.
The story that's told in the margins, you know.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Surf, clean, then sanctify the teleportorium mishap overflow tanks. Very true. All right, and this is Laird again.
Good morning. I'm listening to the podcast with Cobalt and talking about different RPG element questions and such. The talk about how Chaos can modify the body, tentacle eyes, whatever, from a randomized chart. Has anyone ever read Michael A. Stackpole's book, A Hero Born, or the subsequent series book, An Enemy Reborn? Had a great system where the character would go into Chaos to fight the Lords of Chaos and whatnot, push them back. They were physically modified. I think one guy had skin that was like armor. One woman had spines as elbows. Everyone thought they were spurs. They weren't. They were horns. In the main town, they had their own quarter for, those are the Chaos Riders. I think it would make a really, really great module. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for everything.
I like that Laird's just working, and he goes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call these guys up and say what just popped in my head. I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Is in BattleTech, there's so much weird stuff in the margins, the stuff that's really not talked about so much, especially with the advent of higher technology. And especially when it comes down to, like you say, modifying people and what have you.
Yeah.
That technology exists. It doesn't, most of the setting is, how do I blow shit up, and kindness is hard. And that's cool. But I really, really, really think that there is a lot to be said in the exploration of that, because advanced technology, especially in medicine, does exist. And especially in terms of genetic modification and all that, yeah, you know that shit exists. So the weird explorations of it are pretty cool. But a lot of it is unsaid or just hinted at.
Yeah. And yes, kudos, DM. We totally played your it's Kuso, DM. Yours, it says kudos on here. Maybe it was an autocorrect thing.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, we played your question already, so you can wind it back and find it somewhere. I don't know what the time code would that be. But we'll also, I'm editing this for Friday, so if you guys are listening on Friday and you think this is weird, and don't worry, this is just this is a one-off. We might do this again for a special event in the future, but we're not going to do this all the time. This is just for fun. So I'd say let's go with 2 more questions, and then after that, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm getting to the point where the podcast stream thing is getting too long to be edited in a short amount of time. So
it's fine.
Yeah, let me go ahead and let's pull out 2 more questions. This one is from Steph L.
Hello. I hope I don't sound like shit. I've got a question regarding BattleTech and maybe Fantasy Future. So, Tex, you mentioned that for you the BattleTech universe ends before the Black Jihad. Have you ever read some of the Dark Age books? I really like the Dark Age setting because it got me thinking what would happen to the world if suddenly tomorrow all telephones, internet, and any way of remote communication would be dead. What do you guys think would happen to the world? Anyways, love the podcast. Keep it up, guys. Bye-bye.
Well, I mean, you don't sound like shit, for one.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
You sound great, but it's well, you have your thoughts first.
No, I was just laughing at Michael's comment. Oh wow, it's Werner Herzog.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got. I was like, it's not a bad voice at all. In fact, I just heard like Werner Herzog. I zoned out for a minute. I zoned out for a minute because I just heard in my head Werner Herzog being like, "The sickness in mankind is readily evident, in which they discard that." That sort of thing. It's
Dark Age.
I'm not a fan of Dark Age at all. I think Dark Age is bad. I absolutely hate Dark Age.
The idea behind it.
Right. I'm not saying individual parts of it can't be good. Certainly so.
Yeah.
Because even in a weird setting, you can write brilliant stuff. You really can. But I just find that they push the setting forward too fast, too quick, and they're still trying to find themselves.
Yeah, it is a very strange thing, and I think a lot of people also like. There's a lot of directions they could have went after Jihad, but I think that honestly, the Jihad is from what I've read, it feels like a cartoon. But yeah, let's go ahead and we'll cut on over to Steven for the next one.
Greetings and salutations, Tex and Mike. I want to start by thanking you for the work you do on your podcast and on the Courtesy Flush. Listening to your ramblings, coherent and otherwise, turn my long drives from barely survivable to quite enjoyable. This trucker thinks you are totally worth the Patreon money. My question is for Mike. Tex VTuber setup when?
No. The answer is no.
No, it's not a no. I can do it. I can make it cursed as fuck too. That's not even a fucking problem, man. Setting it up is not a problem. It's just he's going to fight me every fucking step of the way. And honestly, if I was to do a VTuber for Tex, it would most likely be like a tank or something, like a talking tank.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be something like that. There's a lot of facial changing device. The problem is that I worry that the device would fail and then it would just show his real face, and that would be a problem. So it's not that I'm against the technology, I just don't want it to slip up and then all of a sudden you're watching this guy, which, a lot of you wouldn't mind. He's not like ugly or anything. It's just that he doesn't want his face on the internet. So fair enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
He's a very private person.
Pretty much,
and I want to respect that privacy. But if I could, I'd put him on a VTuber. Fuck yeah, I'd be running his stream, and I'd just be switching through random ones, so he would never know what he looks like.
Yeah, I really
one minute he's just like a talking tank. The next thing he's a cat girl. You never know.
No.
Next one is from Harwoodian, and then that'll be the last one.
Hello, BPL Podcast, my second favorite BPL podcast on the internet. You have explored what would happen had you been in command of a Federation starship. But what would you do if you were in control of the Stargate program? Would you have sent through more combat-orientated teams, armored vehicles, or just nuked everyone to Kingdom Come? Also, I'm planning on running a Stargate-based RPG set in the Cold War, where my players are all agents from different intelligence groups.
I like that.
CIA, MI6, ONI, etc. and I'm planning on giving each of them their own manila folder with independent objectives. May have some of them at odds with each other. Would I be able to humbly ask for some off-the-top-of-your-head ideas on secondary objectives I could give my players? Thank you, and stay merry, you goddamn legends.
That is fucking brilliant. Stargate in the Cold War era?
That would be great, because they'd be like, how do we find a Stargate into the Russian Stargate so we can steal their spy satellite?
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
There's an episode about the Russians having a Stargate.
Yeah.
There is.
I know. You told me.
Yeah. So
but yeah,
we're trying to watch it, but it's like it's long, and Amazon keeps deciding on whether or not it wants to put it up there. But anyway, so secondary objectives for Cold War era Stargate.
Yeah, I would say ultimately it becomes the new competitive field. So, you know, there's a space race, the missile race, the arms race. There's the third world country race, you know, arms proliferation. And then there's Stargate. It just becomes who can put more colonies and bring back more rare things to turn into weapons to get rid of the Soviet Union. And so it would just be this hilarious game. If I was in charge of the Stargate program in the Cold War, I'd be sending teams out everywhere and be like, we need to make a bomb out of unobtainium, just in case the Russians push something off. But that would be crazy. I mean, I love that idea. That's like a brilliant concept.
They go to the different planets and they bring back weird alien technology. It's very Delta Green.
Yeah.
Instead of it being like Cthulhu, it's like the ancient gods of, you know, past Earth that are actually just aliens disguising themselves as gods. But they're like technology that they even themselves don't even fully understand.
I like the idea.
What was that?
Yeah.
What was that noise it makes? The
urine.
Urine, just
weird fucking
the fucking ham thing. Me and Tex were watching Stargate, and whenever the Gua'uld use their little wrist thing, it goes urine.
Yeah, it does. We both started laughing.
It's even in the movie.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah. No, that sounds fucking awesome. Secondary objectives, I would say, just basically stealing any level of technology that they could use.
Well, they would just turn it into a new area to fight the Russians. They'd go fight Russian teams on alien worlds.
Yeah.
You know, it would just turn into that. Like, oh, this is where we can fight. It's not here.
Yeah, they send the little robot through, and then, you know, they go, oh, it's all clear. And then they go through, and then there's, like, all of a sudden it's an ambush.
Yeah.
Like, the Russians were already waiting.
Yeah, Spetsnaz is there, or you find
and
out
then they interrogate them on another world that they just jump to. Like, you know, you make it crazy.
That would be cool. It'd be like Cold War through the multiverse. That's a really cool idea. I mean, that's a really cool idea. That sounds like a wonderful Delta Green game.
Yes, I like it a lot. But yeah, that's pretty much it for all the questions for now. We have a lot more, and I am going to actually get rid of the ones we already answered so we don't run into this.
So we don't repeat them.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to call into the show, it's anchor.fm/Black Pants Legion, and you can just leave an audio message there. And every so often we scrape those messages and put them out. So anyways, thank you guys for joining us. This has been really fun. This is
really cool. What do you think of this format, guys? I mean, we're gonna keep doing the podcast as normal. It's just like we just last night we're like, oh, what if we did a podcast live in front of people and then we answered questions. But as you guys saw, we typically go away.
Sticky keys.
Yeah, I always disable this on everything.
Dude,
but
I always fuck up sticky keys.
All right.
I always fuck them up.
All right.
Always.
That's saved.
Like, I'll be playing Space Station 13 and
we could disable it. I've disabled it on my computer, but then I go to like a laptop or whatever, and it always...
Yeah, and you're like, okay, I need to click, and it's like, did you mean to do this, fat fingers? And you're like, fuck you, motherfucker, I'm trying to do stuff.
Yeah, sticky keys are the ghosts that won't go away. But yeah, this has been an interesting format. We'll do... I think we'll do more in bigger events like Christmas, stuff like that, where, you know, there's like a holiday or something going on. But yeah, we're going to keep doing the podcast as normal. This was just something we kind of came up with.
Yeah, well, we're trying to change things up, because if we go out there and we do the same thing every day,
we're not going to enjoy it.
We're not going to enjoy it. And Mike and I have promised to each other as a creative group, if we don't enjoy what we're doing, we would rather stop doing it than continue and force ourselves to do it.
Yes.
I
told him if he feels tired at any point, we're not streaming, because I don't want to stream and be tired. That's not fun. That's
Right,
the whole
right.
idea behind
And-
this is we
well, in the
hang out with everyone and have fun. It's not about
it's
you know
I love
being on the internet. That's weird.
I love the last 10 years. I honestly love the last 10 years online because of the great friends I've made and the wonderful times I've shared with them, rather than getting clicks or anything. That has been my most rewarding thing, is these shared experiences and good times I've had and the friends I've made. And it's not about trying to just grind things out. Sure, making a cool video is nice and all, but that's not the reward I seek. And so I find that, doing what we've done tonight is kind of new. It's kind of fun. And I'm glad we did it, and I'm glad everyone tuned in. This was so cool.
Yeah. I enjoy hanging out with everybody. And you know what? I'll clink to that if it's
clink.
Okay. There we go. We clinked
with
to it.
empty glasses,
With
which
our-
is
okay,
very bad luck. So we have to try to get some liquid out of this toast. One moment.
It's okay. Okay, I will suck something out.
Yeah, otherwise it's cursed.
I got a drop. There we go. That was tasty.
Yeah. All right, so next up, I'm going to go drink a lot of caffeine, and I'm going to go kick off the Christmas dump over on the Black Pants Legion.
Yeah.
With a stream, and at the end of the stream, I hit start on the Christmas dump.
Yep, he's going to go over there and play more Payday.
The Christmas dump has, I did the math, 4 terabytes of film.
Oof.
So I hope you boys are ready, because there's tomorrow is the day of Scrumbles.
Oh man,
The day after is Space Station 13.
Is that the one? Is that the recorded one that we were? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna say anymore. Special Christmas Eve tomorrow, but yeah, special Christmas present. But yeah, you guys have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. And let me hit the little button here.
Scrumbles Bunch.
So head on over to Texas Stream, and yeah, we'll see you on the next Courtesy Flush. Take care and have a good evening.